What's going on, guys? Daddy here. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The reason for today's video is to show that there is a mandatory update for SRBMiner when mining Dynex. Actually, there was an update, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 days ago. But, I got a little bit too busy and it fell by the wayside. So now that I actually had time, I figured let's do this and get it upgraded. So for those of you on version 2.3.7 of SRBMiner Multi, there is a mandatory upgrade here. There are some invalid shares reporting, and they will actually be disabling version 2.3.7 in a couple of days. Well, we're over a couple of days. I think it's been 4 or 5 days since this has been released. And yeah, we're actually a week. This was last week. So they must be getting pretty close to pulling the plug on version 2.3.7. So for those of you still on that, get updated as soon as possible. And actually, now that I am here looking at this, there is actually already a version 2.3.9 update, which takes care of other invalid share problems that were introduced on version 2.3.8, as well as performance improvements for Dynex on some GPUs. So I figured, let's get this thing upgraded to 2.3.9 and let's see if there's any improvements. So back on Hive OS, I have taken note of my power consumption and my hash rate for Dynex on SRBMiner, which is version 2.3.7. I am getting 38.13 kilohash at 736 watts. To update the miner, I am going to stop mining on this guy. So I'm going to go here, click Stop Miner, and then I am going to go to the release for SRBMiner version 2.3.9, and I am going to copy and paste this right here. And I'm going to go into Shell, paste it, and enter. I'll be back with you in just as soon as this is done. I probably didn't even need to pause the recording because that took maybe 15 seconds to do, so that's great right there. So next thing I'm going to do is I am going to reboot this mining rig, and I'll see you back here in a sec. Alrighty, I'm back. Very long day for me, just a couple of seconds for you. So I ran into a bunch of issues after I upgraded to the newest version of SRBMiner. Right after I upgraded, it threw a whole bunch of errors and my rig ended up crashing, and I ended up having to actually reflash Hive OS on the hard drive. No matter what I did, it would just continuously crash. It didn't matter if I had the same overclocks, if I had no overclocks. It would start to load the miner and the whole thing would just crash. I reflashed Hive OS like I said, got everything loaded up, everything seemed to be working great, and then I started messing with overclocks again, and then same thing, crash. And then I noticed that my motherboard stopped recognizing my hard drive. When it would boot up, it would just go into the BIOS instead of actually booting from the drive. I would have to power everything off, drain all the power from the capacitors, reboot everything, and then the motherboard would recognize the hard drive. But again, after messing with overclocks, it would crash again, and then the same hard drive problem with the motherboard not recognizing it. For a second time, I reflashed, but this time I grabbed a different hard drive, and that all seems to be working now. Actually, before I reflashed the second time, I actually upgraded to the newest version of Hive OS just to make sure that it wasn't a compatibility issue. But even after upgrading to the latest and greatest of Hive OS, I still had the exact same problem. So I found a new hard drive that I haven't used before, flashed it to that. Everything is running great now, but there is one thing that is extremely odd. I've seen that the newest SRBMiner updates should be having you get better hash rates and better power consumption. While my power consumption is definitely better, my hash rate has suffered. So before, I made note of it. Oops, sorry, that's not the right one. So before, I was getting 38.13 kilohash at 736 watts. At the exact same settings, on version 2.3.9, I am getting 33.06 kilohash at 600 watts. Now, yeah, my wattage is definitely better, but I lost 5 kilohash. So I'm not really sure what happened there. all these 3060s were running at about 4.5. This 3080 was running at about 7.5, and my 3060 was sitting at about 4. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I checked hashrate.no, and I am actually within the right hash rate expectancy for these cards. So I don't know if that was just a fault of the miner that I was on, the version of the SRBMiner that I was on, since it was reporting incorrectly. Maybe it was also reporting the incorrect hash rate, and that's what's going on, because hashrate.no says I'm exactly where I need to be. So that is kind of disappointing, and I can't go back to two versions before this because they're discontinuing the use of it. So it is what it is at this point, I guess, right? So, but yeah, I guess that's really about it. Just a quick down and dirty video letting you guys know that to upgrade your SRBMiner if you haven't done it yet. A little bit of a disappointment, but like I said, it's the way the cookie crumbles. So everybody have a wonderful night, and we'll catch you later.